one that I've learned is the external accreditation that can be needed. And when they say, hey, as you said to the why, hey, my chances of selling more are increased with a inflated title because I have so much more. I'm like, I get that.
Completely. Exactly. You're using it to go accelerate growth. That's a good answer, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No. Not doing that. Are there any other red flags in the interview process where you're like, oof, you should get the heebie-jeebies if you hear this?
I think, again, it's like if there's, to your point, people can interview well if the answers just are shallow. If they're just very canned and shallow and you feel like, okay, anyway, I could play back, a bunch of different LinkedIn posts and collect a bunch of these and this would be an answer. If they can't connect to an actual customer engagement. Like I like it when someone's like, to your point, the stats that are really showing you like passion behind the work they did, and then a real like customer story and team story. If there aren't enough of those, like there's not enough depth. And that, that means you might get some performance for a while, but that's going to fizzle out.
We are going to move to your biggest strength, which apparently is the kind of onboarding and trust building process. But I do just have to ask, before that, when we reflect on the hiring process and your hires that you've made, what are the biggest hiring mistakes that you've made and how's that shaped your mindset?
I think, transparently, if I didn't vet some of those things as deeply as I just walked through. So I've had folks that it came off in an interview were super ambitious, right? They're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this. And they had this energy about them. But when you really peeled back how they're going to do it, not vetting the how enough. I've had that happen in the past where it's like, it looked really good, but we didn't go deep enough on that how. I'm not, I don't think you need to do.
What do you mean the how? Like the ways in which they achieved were murky, like it was non-ethical?
Yeah, exactly. And then I think another piece is, I don't think you need to do a million references because people are going to send you the references, of course, that are going to say all the good things. But I do think if you can get some connection to people that have worked alongside with some sort of, reference backdoor that shares a little bit more insight is helpful. And I think in places where we're maybe moving too fast because we really had to get it done and couldn't get some of that, those additional touch points that we could have maybe seen around a corner in advance. And I think, again, it's a lot of it is folks want to say they're ready for a startup, and like, I'm all about it. It's going to be great. I'm in for the journey. And then they get there and they're like, wait, what? So I think I've made some mistakes there. It's hard to vet, honestly, because it's hard to say like, you can anticipate everything and prepare someone for that. But there's been some places where it's like, this is just too fast and too ambiguous and too crazy. And I can't, but that's, I think you should expect one of those every once in a while.